Okay, everybody, welcome to the second in a series of virtual town hall meetings with CAMACOL Doral and the city of Doral. My name is Pete Delatorre. I'm the CEO of this new vibrant group serving the businesses in the city and its surrounding areas. Today, we're going to take a look at hospitality and restaurants. Before we move on and talk about the program and introduce our panelists, I want to take a moment once again to keep in our prayers everyone that's been afflicted by COVID-19 and everyone, unfortunately, family members and friends that have passed away. We want to make sure that we keep them top of mind and that we show them our support through this very, very difficult time for everybody. Our program today will be like this. The first 30 minutes, we're going to look at hospitality. We're going to be bringing on Bill Talbert, President CEO of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau. Second of all, we have Wendy Coligis, President CEO of the Greater Miami and Beaches Hotel Association, and Terry Soriano, the Area VP for Sales and Marketing for Driftwood Hospitality. They represent 5 hotels in the city of Doral. And during the second half, we're going to be bringing on Carlos Gazitua, CEO of Sergio's Restaurant, and Horacio Oliveira, who is the general manager of Piola's Pizza in Doral. Before we move on with the program, I want to bring on Manny Pila, who is the Economic Development Coordinator for the city of Doral.
Thank you, Pete. Thanks so much. And thank you, all of you, to this illustrious panel. We're very happy to have you here. We're very honored to have you here to have this discussion on these very important industries, hospitality and restaurant. Here in the city of Doral, those are industries that are very much represented in a big way. We have well over 300, approaching 400 restaurants in the city, and we have 30 hotels in the city. So we've got a lot of growth going on here in those industries, and there's a lot to talk about. So once again, thank you all for being here and being part of this discussion. And on behalf of the city of Doral, the mayor, the city council, the administration, I want to welcome you all here and welcome all of the attendees. Pete, pass it back to you.
All right. I also want to pass on best wishes and good luck from Joe Chi, who's the president of CAMACOL. Unfortunately, he couldn't be with us here today. They had an unfortunate death in the family late last week. So he sends his best to all of us here today. And of course, we send our prayers over to Joe and the entire family. All right, let's rock and roll. It's hashtag tourism, hashtag hotels, hospitality, and let's get rocking and rolling. Of course, you'll see him in the screen. In fact, what I'm going to do here, because I don't want to be disrespectful, I'll put on my shades for a second as I'm introducing Bill Talbert, President CEO of the Greater Miami Convention and Visitors Bureau, who is going to open it up for us. And I want to let everybody. I'm going to look at the impact from COVID-19 on the hospitality, hotels, and restaurants. We want to talk about the short-term, what we call bounce back initiatives, and of course, going into 2021, some of the innovation and ideas that are in play right now. So, Bill, if you want to launch it, my friend.
Thank you very much, Pete. It's a great day. One thing I can guarantee everybody, we're going to be absolutely fine in travel and tourism. I just can't tell you when. We're gonna get back. I mean, Doral and this brand here has been evolved into one of the top brands in the world. They're all about partnerships. Thank you, CAMACOL, Doral, Pete, Manny. It was 2019. I remember we had the ribbon cutting of the Doral Visitor Center right in downtown Doral, and I think you had a quorum of the city commission. And things were great. That was 2019, and then in March of 2020, the bottom fell out. So I mean, travel and tourism died. People weren't traveling, people weren't meeting, people weren't eating. Now, by the way, they weren't because they didn't want to. The government wouldn't let them for health reasons. And we've all been on calls, Carlos, Wendy, Pete. Call after call after call of trying to balance the business interests with the medical interests, and so we've got a delicate balance. But it's about the partnerships. We're coming back, albeit slowly. I can tell you the Greater Miami Convention Visitors Bureau reopened its offices a week ago yesterday. Our staff that is there now, we have said, listen, if you don't feel comfortable coming to work, don't come. But I can tell you, I went on Tuesday, I was in for the rest of the week, and I tell you, once you do that, and I had not been to the office in 6 months. 6 months. You can look at my hair. That's good for me to work at home. But so we're open for business. And one of the reasons we open for business, we are telling globally visitors to come and stay in our great hotels, eat in our great restaurants, meeting in our great convention space. And I wanted us to be open for business, and that's what we're doing. And I can tell you, I've had basically no pushback from the staff. We did reduce our staff October 1st significantly. We laid off 18 people. Funds are down. You know, we're revenues and expenses. We laid off staff that had 226 years of experience. But that was then and this was now. So we're leaner and meaner. We're going forward just like everybody on this call. You make do with what you've got, and once again, we will be back. So the hotels were closed, the restaurants were closed, the airlines weren't flying. We're starting to come back. If you look at Miami International Airport in October, they're basically flying about half from half of the cities they were a year ago, or 60% of the cities they were a year ago. Interestingly enough, we all think there's nothing happening, but right in October, and it comes and goes, but there are 44 international cities that have flights to Miami National Airport. There are 17 in the Caribbean, there are 20 in Latin America, and there are 7 from Europe: Frankfurt, Istanbul, Lisbon, London, Madrid, Paris, and Zurich. So we think we're deader than a doornail, but we do have some service. We obviously have 45 domestic feeder markets. So that is coming back. We saw announcements about Southwest Airlines. And so kudos to Lester Sola, who serves on the Convention Bureau board, and his team. It's one of the cleanest, safest airports in the world, and new service, because ultimately that's what has kept this destination going. Now the Bureau, we in March, when we started all this stuff, now let me give a shout out. February 2nd, we had what do we have this year on February 2nd? The Super Bowl, Carlos, right?
The Super Bowl.
So that was our 11th Super Bowl, a record number of Super Bowls, more than any other city. And so that's kind of buoyed us through this year. So while the hotels are closed, the Bureau, the marketing team led by Rolando Aedo, pretty much came up with a new program called Miami Eats. Miami Eats. And so we started in probably the second week in April with, you know, what was Miami Eats? Remember, the restaurants were closed, but if you had takeout or delivery, you could be open. Remember those dark days? So we said, if you have takeout and delivery, we created a program called Miami Eats. You didn't have to be a member of the Bureau, and you didn't have to pay a fee. Day one, we had 360 restaurants in that program. And right today, we have 1,300 restaurants, and many in the city of Doral. And there are people that are working today, restaurants that are open today, because of that program. And then we've gone over to Miami Spice. But we're gonna be fine. We're gonna have our annual meeting next week at the reimagined Miami Beach Convention Center. You know, there are going to be meetings. We're going to have a hybrid. I'm going to be there myself, but we're all slowly coming back. But there's one thing we know, that we have this little thing called a mask, and it's just that simple. If we would have a mask, be socially distanced, we wouldn't have some of the problems. Now, by the way, and then I'll shut up again. We remember in June, we opened the hotels. we were so excited, right? We actually had the bureau team got in cars and we opened a bunch of hotels. We were so happy. That's June. Oh, we're open. What happened in July? Closed again. Closed again. So, you know, it's all about following the rules, and you get used to it, and there's nothing magic about it. And I know Carlos, and I think Horacio too, but Carlos has been kind of one of the leaders in the restaurant industry. The mayors have looked to him for leadership. He's done the right things. He's been on television, and he's got customers, and he's expanding, and people are working again. So we're going to be fine. We just don't know when there'll be a vaccine. And this is one of the greatest destinations in the world today. What a great place to be. What a great place to be today. I say, wow, you're making me stay here, huh? But, and we're for diversification. It's not a zero-sum game. I mean, look what's happened in Doral. You know, I've been around 50 years. And when I first got here, there was one property. And now you've got, Manny said there are 30 hotels in the city of Doral, almost 4,600 hotel rooms and more on the books. And it's one of the great places in the destination. Now, let me drop off because I'm in the good news business. And January 11th of 2021, remember we had the record 11 Super Bowl? Well, January 11th, we're going to have the college football championship. And it wasn't that long ago, we said, oh, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It can't happen. Colleges are playing. All of the conferences are playing. And it looked pretty certain. There are ratings. Remember, you get the rankings. So January 11th, 9 days after the Orange Bowl game itself, we're going to have the college football championship where the college #1 team and the college #2 team will play to a global audience. So remember, we're in the good news business, and that's likely going to happen. There are other things that have been postponed, and I can tell you that next week we're going to be announcing a convention that's going to be coming here in 2021, and we see not only visitors, the Drive Market, Miami Land program, the Drive Market, and vacation in your own backyard. The top resorts in the world are in Doral and in Miami. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Bill. Phenomenal. Great segue to Wendy Kalergis, again, the President and CEO of the Greater Miami Beaches Hotel Association. Wendy, I know you got a lot of updates on what's been happening and things that have been going on to try to get the bounce back going for the hotels. How many hotels are part of the association? Because that'll tell us a lot about your point of view of what's going on.
Yeah, so we have over 200 hotels. Hi, everyone, by the way, good morning. And thanks, I always like following Bill, too. So I'm delighted to be with all of you today. And
she's a great closer.
We have over 200 hotels. And I did want to also acknowledge David Fader, Managing Director at Trump National Doral, is on our board. Bill is on our board, of course, and we really want to thank you for hosting us, and thank Joe Chi too. I remember hosting CAMACOL events at the Biltmore back in the 90s. So, I'm really proud of you, Pete, and congratulations. So I'm not going to get into the bad data. I think everybody knows the bad data. The unemployment was down, the hotel occupancy and rates and all of that was just very depressing, because I think now we want to talk about how we got to where we are today, and as we begin to recover. March 21st was a day I don't think anyone, I will always remember, when most of the hotel, it was amazing how quickly Terry and I actually met right before the virus in my office. Remember, for the first time, 10 years ago right now. Looking forward to the next reunion. And so we, basically, we worked with the Mayor Jimenez on the hotel task force, which I think was very, very important. I know Carlos was on the restaurant task force. Bill was monitoring all of the different task forces at the county. So a lot of our hotel GMs were on the task force. I don't know about you guys. We didn't know what to do, you know. So thanks to the brands, Marriott, Hyatt, Hilton, IHG, many brands, that they just quickly really got together, you know, with their experts and to prepare hotel guidelines. So the guidelines, you know, really, I think for our industry was the easiest to compile because we had these brands, because we had that. And even Wynn Resort, everybody was looking at what Wynn was doing. The White House had their own guidelines. So basically what we did was we consulted with our general managers, you know, because in the directors of engineering, is this good? Are we missing anything? Is there anything that we need to do or recommend to be able to work with the mayor to get the guidelines the way that they should be? And you know, I can talk about, I mean, whoever would imagine Hilton partnering with Lysol. I mean, I grew up with Lysol in my family, and it's like, it's just, it's really incredible. The apps, touchless check-in, cleaning protocols, social distancing, mask mandates, plexiglass everywhere, electrostatic spraying, UV lighting, HVAC filters. I mean, our hotels to me are the most regulated industry in the world. And so along with that, we partnered with we really wanted to get our employees involved with the guidelines, get our employees back to work. Obviously, we were the hardest hit of all industries in the restaurant industry as well. And we took the guidelines and because they had to be trained, the employees had to be trained to, and that was in the actual order. And we partnered with Miami-Dade College and the GMCBB and FRLA to provide a train the trainer virtual training program for the employees. So they did it all virtual, obviously. They had a trainer, whether it was a manager, an HR, or whoever would take the course. And it was every step of it was as per the guidelines. Lots of questions. It was really great. And then they got, the train the trainer got a certificate of completion. And then they would train the employees and they would get a certificate so that they had the knowledge of, you know, what's going on. I mean, it was very helpful for them to talk to their families who don't want them to go back to work, right? And say, no, you don't understand. The hotels are ready. The hotels are very clean and safe. And I think that was very helpful. It was in English, Spanish, and Creole. So that was a wonderful, wonderful program. And then we also, we're ready. We're ready to welcome back our guests and visitors. I know you all know that. Terry knows that. You know, all the hotel operators we're just dying to get everybody back to work. You know, with like Bill mentioned, the opening, the closing, the opening, employees came back to work and then they had to go back home again. So it's just really, we got to do it right. You know, now we have to really, because it's tough right now. But we do really want to get them all back to work as soon as we can. And I know working with the CVB and all of you to get the message out will really be very helpful. We're also very grateful for a couple of funds that we were able to get from the county for our employees, 2 hotel employee relief funds, you know, 2 in partnership with both FIU Chaplain School of Hospitality and Tourism Management and Sobe Wine and Food Festival. I know Carlos was part of that with the restaurant fund. There was a restaurant fund, restaurant relief fund, as well as there was a second fund from the CARES Act for hotel, not only just restaurant employees, but hotel restaurant employees can benefit from that. And that's going on as we speak. The one that has been really great, it's actually going to increase, it's still going on, is the hotel employee relief fund that Miami-Dade College has. And thanks to Commissioner Higgins, that was a $3 million grant from the CARES Act. And what it is it's $1,000. And so when this was going, we were working with Commissioner Higgins and a few of our hoteliers. We were like, I was like, how am I can't disperse that money. How do I know? Do you know what I mean? It just didn't make sense. So we partnered with Miami-Dade College, who they issued a stipend of $1,000. And the hotel GM or HR would sign up the employees. They verify that they do work there. And by the way, they didn't have to be working physically at the hotel at the time. A lot of them were at home. And then they got, immediately when they signed up, they got $500 immediately into their account. So can you imagine receiving $500 after being out of work for months? And then the training included a 2-day virtual training workshop program on resources that the college has, career building, resume writing, because we all know that a lot of our employees are not going to be able to come back to work at the hotels all at once. It's just so I think helping them find other jobs and other careers is really, really rewarding, and that's going very, very well. And I think that they'll also, we may be able to get more funding for that too. So we have, with our talented colleagues out, I mean, I don't know about you all, but I've never known so many talented people in the hospitality and tourism industry that are out of jobs. I mean, you heard Bill, talk about his staff. You heard, managers, directors, and I think it's very important to keep them motivated, which I think the Zooms have been very good. We've had technology webinars with FIU. We've had sales and marketing, design and architecture, food and beverage. We're going to have some cooking classes coming up because you've got to keep everybody motivated, and we're very, very excited to be able to keep them up because they're down. People are down. We've got to keep them up. There's nothing like hospitality injection, right? Or a pizza or a Cuban sandwich, right? To keep everybody motivated. We also just began a wellness series for our general managers, HR, and managers in partnership with Baptist Health, mental health crisis. There's a lot of crisis management necessary. So they're going to also go through a train the trainer program so that they can train their employees. So very soon we have a few announcements to include an exciting new partnership announcement with a startup, a career startup in New York for new and diversified careers, because we got to help everybody. And then also, Pete, one of the industries that I'm very concerned about is the live event industry.
Yes.
And we can work together. You've got a lot of businesses in Doral. Also, you have a lot of catering, off-premise catering companies. We really need to all work together to help them as well. So hopefully this helps. I enjoyed talking to you, and I didn't want to talk about the data because the bad data is over. We're looking at new data now.
I thank you, Wendy. And the news that we were hearing at all the closings, and especially on the beach, the closings of hotels out there it's mind-boggling. You can't really fathom what that means. But as you're going through, it's kind of like it's a very rude awakening for everybody involved there. And but yeah, you just mentioned something at the end of the events company. My son was working for one of the largest events companies in Miami and was laid off on March 13th. So I know what you're saying. And it's going to take time for those companies, that industry to.
Yeah, connect me with your son, because we've got to help. We've got to help people. It's really happy to help.
Thank you so much. All right, Terry Soriano. I'm not going to say a veteran of the industry because I don't want to have you think that you're old or something like that, because you're not. But you've been in the industry for a long time. And you represent through Driftwood Hospitality 5 hotels in the Doral area specifically, and knowing this market in Doral, we have a lot of folks that are attending this virtual calls that are in the industry in Doral or that have been involved in one way or another. What can you say to them in terms of your own experience through all of this?
Wow, that's a loaded question, Pete. But I want to start off with thanking you for giving me the opportunity to be here, Manny, same, and to follow Bill and Wendy. 2 icons in the industry. I'm very grateful, very blessed. And I want to let everybody know that I'm actually live from one of our hotels in Doral, the DoubleTree Doral, which is located on Northwest 102nd Avenue and 19th Street, adjacent to Miami International Mall. And we're opening up another hotel in Doral, probably within the next 3 to 4 weeks, which is the Holiday Inn Express Miami Doral, which is right across from the mall itself. Very excited that, even during these times, we still have hotels that we're opening. We're very blessed because of all of the work that Bill and Wendy and, the city, everyone did. We managed to keep our hotels open and still target that essential personnel. And that list was a very long list, but it allowed us to maintain our hotels open. what that also allowed us to do is really think outside the box, right? And almost like redefine the way that we are doing business, just like the restaurant partners have had to redefine the way that they're doing business. You know, I agree with Bill. It's going to come back. So it's a matter of when is it going to come back? If I know it's going to be at some point in 2021, but we know that we have that drive market that we're focusing on. People are definitely hungry to get in their cars and drive and visit hotels, you know, and vacation in their backyards. So that's a big market that we're definitely focusing on. You know, the weddings market is also one that we're targeting because there's a lot of people that now are having to reschedule their weddings and they're ready to get the family together, and it's almost like a mini family reunion, and so stuff like that is taking place. And then just thinking as we move into 2021, you know, we're definitely focused on all of those events, right, that we know rescheduled for next year. It's definitely going to create some compression in our city, and it's going to allow us to definitely yield a higher ADR for our hotel, which has definitely been, I know we've talked about that in the past, right? It's definitely been one of the biggest concerns we've had during this time. But as we start 2021, I know the leisure market is going to be strong. And I would say that by March, April, we're going to start seeing some of that corporate coming back. And as the airlines, you know, when Bill was mentioning, you know, that we've got now 44 international cities with flights that are coming into Miami, that's amazing. And so that continues to grow. Once the cruise lines go back and they're cruising, then it's just a matter of us as hotel partners just redefining the way that we're doing business with all of these companies that are getting back into traveling and making sure that we're following all of the brand standards. You know, we've got Marriott, Hilton, IHGs in our portfolio, and it's making sure that we're following all of those brand standards. Did I miss anything? Bill, Wendy, did I miss anything?
No, I think you covered a lot there, Terry. If you want to send a message to all of your fellow hoteliers in the Doral area right now, if you can send them a message of hope, what would that be?
You know, just stay positive. I know that right now everyone is just, you know, everyone is thinking it's doom and gloom, but it's not. You know, last week we were on a call and Bill mentioned something that resonated with me. He said when 9/11 happened, we as an industry really had to change, you know, what travel looked like, and we adjusted, right? So all this means is that we're going to adjust and we're going to course correct, and we're just going to do business a little bit differently. So thank you, Bill, for mentioning that last week, because it stayed in my mind, and I've mentioned it to my hotel partners and even my hotels. I'm like, guys, back in 9/11, we had to redo the way that we did all types of business, right? Because we thought that it would never come back, and it did. So just remain positive. Just remain positive because it will definitely come back. It always does.
And also Terry, it's going to snow. I'm from Maine. The weather's getting cold up there. It's horrible. You know, we're going to be fine.
Yeah.
So, Bill, we're going to have to wear these to make sure, let everybody we're open for business, right? Okay, that's it. I mean, how can you not get excited when you see these out in Miami this time of year? It's a great message. Any final, Manny, do we have any questions from the attendees?
No, sir, but I do want to say one thing. I do want to thank not only all the panelists for being here, you know, Terry, for continuing to open new hotels in Doral during this entire time. Really appreciate the boldness and the vision to do that. You know, Wendy, is always, you know, it's always fantastic to work with you. You know, people don't know, but we have been working together for a long time through different organizations, and really appreciate it.
Thank you, Manny. I miss your music.
And Bill, you know, I mean, I really also appreciate continuing to work with the CVB in the city, you know, or the Doral Hotel Co-op. I think it's been very successful, and we will continue to work together to bring people, draw attention, bring people right to the hotel's doorstep, and conferences as well. So we thank you all so much for your feedback and of course your incredible industry knowledge and sharing it with us.
I have a question for Terry. Terry, it's Carlos. One of the questions I had was, is there anything that you've learned that you would like for the city of Doral to consider this new norm of what they can do to help hotels? So is there anything in particular that the city should consider that helps hotels with this new way of thinking, new way of operating? If there's anything in particular that you've seen, or maybe you've seen other hotels or other cities do in South Beach, or something that maybe can apply to Doral that hasn't happened in Doral, just from a perspective.
I am fortunate that I have hotels in the beach. I have hotels in the airport area, and I have hotels in Doral. I have to say, to answer that question, in the Doral area, it's like night and day. So there's really, and I hate to say, there's really nothing right now that I can think of to give advice to the city, because they've really done an amazing job. And my hotels in this market, considering the overall economy right now, they're doing fairly well, and fairly well is a very broad statement. But in comparison to the beach, where we had to close hotels, the airport area has, definitely suffered. That hasn't been the same situation here in the Doral market. So, but Carlos, I'm going to take that one back with me, and I'm going to think about it. And if there's anything that I come up with, I will definitely let you know. But kudos to Manny. Yeah, Manny's like, and call me.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to thank the three of you. Bill, of course, Mr. It's So Miami, just a gem in our neighbor. And we're very fortunate to have you in our backyard, brother, because, in the darkest of times, man, you're bringing out the sunglasses, because that means that the sun is shining somewhere in Miami. And thank you so much. Wendy, the work you're doing with representing all the hotels throughout Miami-Dade County is phenomenal. Thank you so much for being here. And Terry, of course, in our backyard, working the market here. And we thank you for being so. For the three of you that have covered our hospitality part of the conversation, thank you so much. You're more than welcome to stay with us. I want to do a pivot, and that's become the operative word during COVID-19 is pivot. And we're learning how to do that. We want to get now into more specific conversation on the restaurant industry. And I'm sure that Carlos, who again is the CEO of Sergio's Restaurants, and Horacio Oliveira, the GM of Piola's in Doral, can attest to the fact that both of you have gone through some significant adversity and a lot of stress with all the ups and downs that have been going on. So what I want to do is let me open it up with Carlos, who's been very hands-on and with the county on a major task force and many other projects that he's been working on to help the industry as a whole, as opposed to making sure that his business is moving forward. Carlos?
Thank you, Pete, and thank you for having me. Like you indicated, I think we've gone through the industry one of the toughest times, but I think we're one of the most creative industries in terms of just adapting, because people got to eat. The question is how do you get your food into the mouth of the customer? So the question is up to the restaurants to figure out, how do we do this? The good thing is that from restaurants going forward is that we kind of are not in chains anymore as much. We can actually be a little bit more flexible in how we're going to do things, because we started off only as takeout and delivery. So a lot of restaurants, they never did takeout delivery. So they were kind of being pulled back, and they had to pivot. And I'll tell you that I hope it's everyone's understanding is thinking the model of what you did in the past, while it will still apply in the future, you're going to have to adapt and see and learn from these experiences of what your concept can do, or what maybe we should be doing going forward. Because you don't know if we're going to go back, right? You don't know if there's ever going to be a spike. We don't know that. So I think a lot of operators are thinking, how do I dive into the third-party deliveries? How do I dive into the takeout? How do I make my packaging better so it holds properly? I think this is what every restaurant should be doing right now, is analyzing how can I make sure my product is the best quality to go forward, and how do I create vertical channels for your business model? You should be thinking right now, vertical channels. There's no other way to think. For us, during this pandemic, everyone had to, in the restaurant business, had to adapt almost weekly on this new change. Because, at the beginning, we didn't know there was supposed to be masks on, right? We were just all separating from each other, and I was doing blast meals prepared because people were scared to go out. You saw restaurants adapting to being a Publix almost in their own place. Well, that went away pretty quickly after a month, and then the restaurants had to adapt and say, okay, well, groceries are starting to get all the product. Retail groceries went up, restaurants went down very fast. So you had to adapt and say, where's the next wave? And the next wave was figuring out the takeout and delivery model. Really, were the ones who could stay open. So going forward, kind of fast forwarding all these opportunities, is where learning what your product is and what it can work going forward. So I think that's the big thing that now everyone has to look at. From our perspective at Sergio's, what we did was we started with the blast freezing of products to sell to people's houses that were scared to leave, and we actually are now selling nationwide by packaging product. And we learned from that experience, and now we're shipping croquetas and empanadas and ropa vieja and black bean already made, and we're shipping it all over the nation. About an average of 30 states get our product every week. So that's just something that was a disaster that created an opportunity that now can stay with us as another future vertical channel. And that's just one story on what people can kind of sit down and consider and say, does this work for my concept? Will this going forward? So I think that we're going to be in this with the PPP loan. Is there going to be a second round? Is the Dade County is offering money for those in need going forward? I think it's about sitting down and saying, if I get funded again, if I get a round of relief, we're all trying to figure out how to limit our expenses to survive. But I want to make sure everyone understands, don't just think about survival, think about thriving. Because like Bill says, this is going to come out eventually, whether it's 12 months from now, 8 months from now. Think strategic on what my brand can be, than just what you need to do to survive today. And the doors will open because you're learning from your experience. The only thing is you got to be strategic, because you only have so much capital to really survive. So you got to sit down. I will sit down with your family. I will sit down with your friends. I will sit down with advisors. I would call, people on this group or people that and say, hey, I had this idea. What do you think? And then once you have those advisors around you to say, will this work? Then you can strategically figure out which avenue to take. And I think that's probably the most important thing that people can do today is figure out, how do you survive these next 6 months? What's our plan? Knowing that it's going to be a monthly kind of approach.
Absolutely. Carlo, that's a great point. In fact, when you and Horacio and I were on the phone the other day, I came up with a suggestion, of which I followed up with Manny Pila. Beyond the blocking and tackling of any business or any industry, I think we need to take a look at how we can get creative, how we can share, new ideas amongst each other in the same industry to spark, a new hope with your colleagues and anyone really in any industry. But I think the conversation is how we can come together and just brainstorm to see what we can come up with collectively, because there's a lot of great ideas that are sitting doormat with a lot of people that are not brought to the forefront. And I think that what you just shared is something I want to do with CAMACOL Doral, is start really getting these types of conversations going that, we can keep looking at things in a different way. We can pivot. We can not just think out of the box, but act out of the box, ongoing, because that's what I believe it's going to take for us to have that thrive part of what you just said right now, instead of just holding on for dear life and just trying to, pay your bills in the short term. That's important, but we got to start thinking of ways to make this sustainable in the long term. Horacio, you've been in the restaurant business 40 plus years. You've been around the world. You've owned restaurants. Now you run a very successful chain. Tell us about your experience in the industry and what you've gone through all of this, and of course your colleagues at Piola's.
Well, Carlos he say most of the points that we have to move forward. And I feel like basically, even being in the restaurant business all my life, which my background is New York, with this new moving forward, we have to be creative and we have to use the strategies. Obviously, some of them is going to work, some of them are not, but we can't feel sorry for ourselves. This is what we do for a living, and I basically feel like we just opened a new business, and you have to shoot to different windows and see which one's gonna work, which one wasn't, and some of them is gonna be the best thing to do, and some of them you're just gonna learn and see it will not work. For example, I think like one of the things we have to take advantage of is the social media, which has been for a few years already, the way you communicate with your customers. But at this point right now, I think is 100% will be, the communication will be in social media. Then take advantage of the list that you have and trying to communicate with your customers in a friendly way where they can feel comfortable to help you out. Like, posting pictures, making comments in Facebook, Instagram, and trying to help you out in supporting you. Because especially like, when I'm in Doral, I'm new there, just started a couple of weeks ago, but I feel like, we're in a great neighborhood, and if we do the right thing and pass the right message, people will support you. For example, like right now, I just apply in the city to have outdoor seatings. I think that's the new thing. It's Carlos doing in one of his restaurants. If you have the facility to do the outdoor, and that's going to be a big deal because people are they're not going to stop going out, but they, at the same time, they want to protect themselves, they want to protect the families. Some of them, a lot of them, they going out, they taking their in-laws, they taking on people they're like very concerned about it. And most of the time, like especially like in Piola, I see some people don't even go in the inside. They, from the door, they requesting to see it outdoors. And we do have a facility, which is the Sidewalk Cafe, but it's very small. And I just applied to the city. We're going to increase around 50 seats outdoor, which is gonna, do a major benefit for the restaurant. And I think, obviously, we are adjusting our menu as well. We reduce the menu. We're creating a menu. I'm lucky enough to work for a place that sells pizza. And as you guys do know, it's a great product that travels really well. You can eat in your home, basically tasting the same thing that you taste in a Piola. And we're adjusting the menu to make it even better and make the people ordering more, because what's happened is a lot of the offices are not coming back right now, right? A lot of the people working home, then you have to find a way where they can still eating your food, ordering from you, and the economy, it's kind of shake a little bit. A lot of people still not working, but they still want to eat outside. They getting tired to cook at home. Then we're creating a great specials, great deals, and we can, making them to still order from you, and then we can move forward and stay in business. As Carlos said, we have to survive, but not only survive. We're not in this business to survive. We're in this business to, produce money and enjoy what we're doing. And then it's been tough, but I think the way to move forward is keep reinventing ourselves and shoot into different directions to we'll pass into this crazy time, you know. That's how I feel.
Just to hit on what Horacio's saying, like I even created a new catering menu that's literally coming out this week, where we did a photo shoot where we have plexiglasses because we have some people that are, you know, we're not fully staffed as what we used to do. So we said, hey, we'll go to people's houses. We'll say we're creating a whole company like within our division to say Bill has a party at his house. He has, let's say, 20 people because he's social, you know, it's only his tight knit family. We'll bring the mask, we'll bring the plexiglass, we even bring a sanitizer, huge machine to clean after, and you can pay based on this to do it, and we will serve the food and then present it and provide opportunities for jobs because not everyone's going to want to go out maybe with 30, 40 people because of social distancing at your restaurant. So we got to think, okay, outside the box, we could do the same drop off food, but do in a way where we protect our employees. But again, do a cater license, figure out how to do that. If that's something in the future that we can provide as an up service. And if there's any time that people will pay more money, it's now. Like if there's any time to experiment on something in your restaurant, I would say, again, strategic, but it's now because people are willing to be forgivable during this time. You know, I have construction going on in my restaurant where Bill goes a lot, and I could have never have done this if I didn't take obviously more risk on our part, but to do construction and not look that great when people are going out to the restaurant, but people understand, hey, look what they're doing. They're building a huge outdoor area. It's going to be better for me in the long run. And they understand that this is not normal times. So being strategic now and being able to think of off-premise catering, think of how we can get to people. That's the goal. Like if we just talk about only stay within the box, you're only going to get what's inside the box. We got to think of how do we get outside of this box and get that income to survive, right? And just like the outdoor seating, I think for us, for Doral, it's looking at like, hey, if restaurants want to expand their outdoor seating or want to have a trellis because it's hot as hell in Miami, right? Sometimes, and obviously we're going to the good season. That's why I'm very hopeful for restaurants starting from November on. We should have nowhere in the United States is going to be as good as coming down here. But eventually having trellises, but what does that include, or things like that, impact fees, right? So restaurants can't afford that because we're in tough situation cash flow, but if the city can think of ways to reduce impact and be able to do that as restaurants for the future go forward, and then use your indoor seating and kind of put it in the outdoor so there's less issues with, you know, obviously grease trap capacity and sewer capacity. Restaurants can figure it out, but make it more appealing for the guest. Those are things for the future that will be a long-term success here in Doral.
I totally agree with you. And one of the things that we're doing as well, we're making our website a little easier to order, because a lot of people, they never did order from the website. You know, they always used to call. Then sometimes people get intimidated how to order through your website. We're making our website very friendly, very easy to do. So, for example, me, I never order. I always go to a supermarket. Now I order from Publix to the website. Something that I thought was like I would never do it, you know. And then a lot of people they get intimidated to order. Then it's one of the things that we're working out. We're adjusting our website as well and make all this, like, you know, as Carlos say, like how do we get food to the people in the house? We're creating as well this family meal. You can order food for 4, for 6 in a very economical way, because people are not gonna stop ordering. You know, it's just, we have to like show it to them and expose. They can still eating our food. They can still enjoy themselves. It's almost like in the old times when we were a kid. We used to go, you know, into restaurants only in events, birthday celebrations. And I think now people are going back to that way, that people are going to get together more in homes. That's what I see. And then we have to find a way, and we have a catering menu as well to provide this food, and as Carlos say, to make sure they'll be safe if we send one of the employees to their house. You know, that's how we're doing.
I think that both of you represent your sector extremely well. Let me start by the fact that you're both optimistic, you're both realists, but you're also hard workers, and you're willing to do things differently. We know that life is about change, but boy, change now is become bold capital letters. We're living in a world of fast change, and we have to be willing to change. What you just said right now, Horacio, you were ordering food in a different way, you've become more comfortable going to a website. That's something that those are habits that we have, and we're learning because we've been forced to change a lot
Absolutely.
about what we're doing, a lot about what businesses are doing, a lot about what we're doing personally. So we have a couple of minutes left. Manny, do we have any questions from the attendees?
We don't, but once again, I would like to make one more comment, to these gentlemen. First, I really appreciate your comments about our outdoor dining. That's very important. Anybody who's listening who's in that situation, we try to make it as easy as possible, and we're extending that well through next year. So please come to us, to the city of Doral, to the Planning and Zoning Department, and we can help you get through that process real quick and real easy to get you the outdoor dining. Also, I'd say, yeah, think outside the box. If you come to downtown Doral, they had the possibility, and are set up in such a way that they've been able to do a street closure and really extend the outdoor dining for all the restaurants along there. So you can go there now, and there's new restaurants there, brand new, that are just opening. Come and check them out. The Doral Yard, Juicy Burger. We've got some bunny cakes out there in the street. So come on, check out the scene, because it's kind of like almost like a street scene, like a street festival now in downtown Doral, and wherever it's possible for us to work with the businesses to think outside the box and do things to help, that's what we're here to do. So to the gentlemen, also would say, just like I say to the hotel folks, any ideas, any comments, please, give us a call and let us know what you think. Run it by me or the administration or the mayor, and we're here to help.
Absolutely. Well,
and
we're about, yeah, go ahead, Wendy.
So I wanted to just make a suggestion. I think, Terry, you can help with this. So there's so many limited service property hotels in Doral, where they have, like, they do breakfast, and I think there's an opportunity for Carlos and Horacio, if you think this is a good idea, Terry, that maybe like just a little menu of like early dinner or whatever, lunch or whatever, that they can put together like a menu from the restaurants in Doral to deliver, and these are for the hotels that don't have a restaurant that serve, dinner or serve whatever, just maybe because there's so many great restaurants in Doral.
Yeah, there really is.
I was gonna show you something. To talk about technology and how people change. I've never ever, and I'm a millennial, right? Like, I'm on the borderline millennial, and so I'm pretty into technology. But you would think, okay, prior to COVID-19, how many people, I have it here, how many people would have thought to go on these QR codes, right? That now you've seen every restaurant to do it.
Exactly.
I always thought it was the most annoying thing to do, because I was like, I'm not going to pull my phone out. I'm not going to look at the QR code. But technology has gone so fast that look at what we just did for something for hotels, for example. We literally are giving for Lady of the Lakes, which is a school. They wanted to figure out how to create an opportunity to fundraise for them. So we gave a discount and said, look, with this discount, we'll help you. So look what QR codes are doing now. We can literally have a QR code that you can put in your property, or that people can look at our menus only for that particular property or that location. And people, all they have to do is use the camera, click on it, and then when they order, that money goes funded to us, and we get a percent, and it goes right to the school. Just by a simple a QR code. So the opportunity to have your own custom QR codes right now is so easy that you could literally have in the hotel, hey, you want to order from Sergio's? Hey, these are our partners. Here are the QR codes for each one of these restaurants. They literally just put the phone in when they walk into the room, and they can just order. And right there, literally, they put the order in, it goes seamlessly. So that's kind of the kind of technology has become so fast and so quick during COVID-19 that literally you can do almost anything these days without downloading anything, which is the friction part, right? Having an app, friction. This is no friction. This is literally you put your phone camera into something and it pops up. So that's the way the world's changing.
I love it. All right, folks, any final comments before we wrap it up from anyone? Bill, anyone at all?
Well, Pete,
I will
thanks
say
very
this,
much to have us here. I'm sorry.
No, go
And,
ahead.
it was great to meet you, all of you, through the camera, and I'm looking forward to meet you guys at Apiola. Please come by, and you'll be my guest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pizza
Thank you,
night.
Pete.
Pete, you
All
know,
right, Manny, thank you. Thanks to all of you. We're going to be back on November the 12th for our next virtual town hall. That'll be 11 a.m. It's going to be on international trade and real estate. Again, two very important industries in the city of Doral and all of Miami-Dade, really, when you look at it. So we'll have some experts that will be joining us on that day, and look at another pair of sectors that have been affected. I mean, everybody's been affected by this, some more than others, but I think we want to take a close look at not just what's going on, but really towards the future, especially in the 2021, what we can do together to make sure that we can have that big bounce back that we're all looking forward to. So thank you, Manny. Thank you to all the panelists once again. This has been phenomenal. And on behalf of CAMACOL Doral, thank you so much for all of you, for all of our attendees that were with us today. Have a great day and take care of yourselves.
Likewise,
Bye.
thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Ciao.
Bye.
I did it! 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 Come on.